guys, Caleb here, back again with more Red Knot, and this time, because it's Halloween, I thought I would read something that I find both exciting and scary as hell. Stalker books! We have Stalker by Lars Kepler. I think I'm saying that right. A Jonah? I'm gonna say it's probably Jonah. Lina novel. I'm going to horribly mispronounce all these names because they're Swedish. Outside of that, the cover lackluster. I don't get a sense of fear or dread. I think that's also because the title is lackluster. You know, it's like how I name things when I can't come up with a title. It's like how Cat Dragon happened. They're a cat and a dragon. Let's call it Cat Dragon. This title is not very inspiring, but it tells you what it's about, sort of, on the tin. The cover is just like a shadow and some yellow light. Again, not spooky or well, I guess it's a little mysterious, but it doesn't provoke a sense of suspense in me. According to this, it has more than 14 million copies sold internationally. Also, I think I just failed to mention, but since it's specifically a Lina novel, that probably means this is however many books in a series. I have no idea. I just picked it because it sounded interesting and it fit my theme. Maybe it's the first book in the series, maybe it's not. Who knows? I don't. 'Cause I'm special like that and don't do research before I start recording. Let's see, what else does this front cover say? Kepler is a virtuoso at delivering scenes of suspense. The New York Times book review. We don't know who made that book review. It's just the New York Times book review. To the back. It's the middle of the night. You think you're alone. It's just the wind. By the time you realize someone's watching you, it's already too late. The Swedish National Crime Unit receives a video of a woman in her home. Hours later, they discover her mutilated body. Soon after, the killer sends another tape, taunting the police. He knows there's nothing they can do. Only Lina and his weird-ass name, and his old friend Eric Maria Black can stop this cunning predator. But Bark is hiding secrets of his own. Secrets the killer knows. A gripping, the fast-paced chapters and devious plot twists left me hypnotized. Jonathan Elderfield, Associated Press. Stalker by Lars Kepler is the most frightening novel I have encountered in years. Don't read this book late at night. Vic McCunnis, Dayton Daily News. Well written. One can't wait to see what happens next in this remarkable series. New York Journal of Books. We still don't know who said that in that Journal of Books, but it came from them, so it must be okay. Chapter 1. It's 8:45 on Friday, August 22nd. After the magical sunsets and light nights of high summer, darkness is encroaching with surprising speed. It's already dusk outside the National Police Authority. Why do I feel like I'm reading a script? Margaret Silverman gets out of the elevator and walks toward the security doors in the foyer. This seems really off-putting. Again, like I'm reading a script. She's wearing a black cardigan, a white blouse that fits tightly around her chest, and long black pants whose high waist is stretched across her expanding stomach. So she's pregnant, I guess. Or fat. She ambles towards the revolving doors in the glass wall. Okay, so like a bank or something. Margaret's hair is the color of polished birchwood, and is pulled into a thick braid down her back. She has moist eyes and rosy cheeks. I hope her eyes are moist. Otherwise, how is she able to stand like the intense itchiness and dryness that would cause? Or has she been crying? She is 36 years old and pregnant with her third child. Thanks, I guess. I needed to know that. I'm assuming she's about to be deaded. She's heading home after a long week. She's worked overtime every day and has received 2 warnings for pushing herself too hard. She is the new police expert on serial killers, spree killers, and stalkers. The murder of Maria Carlson is the first case she's been in charge of since her appointment. There are no witnesses and no suspects. The victim was single and had no children. She worked as a product advisor for IKEA and had inherited her parents' unmortgaged townhouse after her father died and her mother went into a nursing home. On most days, Maria traveled to work with a colleague. They would meet down on Crick Road. When she wasn't there that morning, her colleague drove to her house and rang the doorbell, looked through the windows, and then walked around the back and saw her. She was sitting on the floor, her face covered in knife wounds. Ew. Her neck almost sliced through, her head lolling to one side, and her mouth strangely wide open. According to the post-mortem, there was evidence to suggest that her mouth had been so arranged after death. When Margaret was appointed to head the investigation, she knew she couldn't seem too aggressive. She has a tendency to be overeager. How so? Her colleagues would have laughed if she told them she was absolutely convinced that they were dealing with a serial killer. Over the course of the week, Margaret had watched the video of Maria Carlson putting her tights on more than 200 times. All the evidence suggests she was murdered shortly after the recording was uploaded to YouTube. Ooh, fun times. Margaret can't see anything that makes this video special. It's not unusual for people to have a tights fetish, but nothing about the murder indicates that sort of inclination. The video is simply a brief excerpt from an ordinary woman's life. She's single, has a good job, and takes cartoon drawing classes at night. There's no way of knowing why the perpetrator was in her garden, whether it was pure chance or the result of a carefully planned operation. But in the minutes before the murder, he captured her on video. Given that he sent the link to the police, he must have wanted to show them something. He wanted to highlight something about this particular woman, or a certain type of woman. Maybe it's about all women. But to Margaret's eyes, there's nothing unusual about the woman's behavior or appearance. She's simply concentrating on getting her tights on properly. Margaret has visited the house on the, Bredablix Road twice, but she spent most of her time examining the video of the crime scene before it was contaminated. The perpetrator's film almost looks like a lovely created work of art compared to the police's crime scene video. The forensics team's minutely detailed recording of the evidence is relentless. The dead woman is filmed from various angles as she sits with her legs stretched out on the floor, surrounded by dark blood. Her bra is in shreds, dangling from one shoulder, and one white breast hangs down toward the bulge of her stomach. There's almost nothing left of her face, just a gaping mouth surrounded by red pulp. Margaret stops as if by chance beside a fruit bowl, glances over at the guard, who is talking on the phone, then turns her back to him. For a few seconds, she watches the guard's reflection in the glass wall, then takes 6 apples from the bowl and puts them in her bag. That's a big-ass fruit bowl. Why are there 6 apples in that? 6 is too many. She knows that, but she can't stop herself. It's occurred to her that Jenny might like to make an apple pie that evening, with lots of butter, cinnamon, and sugar. Her thoughts are interrupted when her phone rings. Who the fuck is Jenny? Is that your girlfriend? Is that your daughter? One of your daughters? Your sister? She looks at the screen and sees a picture of Adam Youssef, a member of the investigation team. Are you still in that building? Adam asks. Please tell me you're still here, because I'm sitting in the car on Clara Strands Road. Margaret lies. What do you need? He's uploaded a new video. She feels her stomach clench and puts one hand under the heavy bulge. A new video, she repeats. Are you coming back? I'll stop and turn around, she says, and begins to retrace her steps. Make sure we get a decent copy of the recording. Margaret could have just gone home, leaving the case in Adam's hands. It would take only a phone call to arrange a full year of paid maternity leave. Her fate is hanging in the balance. She doesn't know what this case will bring, but she can sense its gravity, its dark pull. The light in the elevator makes her face seem older in the reflection of the shining doors. The thick line of dark mascara around her eyes is almost gone. As she leans her head back, she realizes she's starting to look like her father, the former commissioner. The elevator stops at the 8th floor, and she walks along the empty hallway as fast as her bulging stomach will allow. She and Adam moved into Junalina's old office the same week the police had a memorial service for him. So wait, the main character is dead? Margaret never knew Juna personally, and had no problem taking over his office. You have a fast car, Adam says, as she walks in, then smiles, showing his sharp teeth. Pretty fast, Margaret replies. Adam joined the police force after a brief stint as a professional soccer player. He is 28 years old, with long hair and a round, youthful face. His short-sleeved shirt is untucked. This seems like unnecessary information, but okay. How long has the video been up, she asks. 3 minutes, Adam says. He's there now, standing outside the window, and we don't know that, but I think he is, he interrupts. Margaret sets her heavy bag on the floor, sits down on her chair, and calls forensics. Margaret here. Have you downloaded a copy? She asks. Listen, I need a location or name. All the resources you've got. You have 5 minutes. Do whatever the hell you want. Just give me something, and I promise I'll let you go so you can enjoy your Friday evening. She puts the phone down and opens the pizza box on Adam's desk. Are you done with this? She asks. There's a ping as an email arrives, and Margaret quickly stuffs a piece of pizza crust into her mouth. A worry line deepens in her forehead. She clicks on the video file and maximizes the on-screen image, pushes her braid over her shoulder, and rolls her chair back so Adam can see. The first shot is an illuminated window shimmering in the darkness. The camera moves slowly closer through the leaves that brush the lens. Margaret feels the hair on her arms stand up. A woman is in front of the television eating ice cream from a carton. She's pulled her sweatpants down and is balancing on one foot. One of her socks is off. She glances at the television and smiles at something, then licks the spoon. The only sound in police headquarters is the computer fan. Just give me one detail to go on, Margaret thinks as she looks at the woman's face. Her body seems to be steaming with residual heat. She's just been for a run. The elastic of her underwear is loose after too many washings, and her bra is clearly visible through her sweat-stained shirt. Margaret leans close to the screen, her stomach pressing against her thighs, and her heavy braid falls forward over her shoulder. 1 minute to go, Adam says. The woman sets the carton of ice cream on the coffee table and leaves the room, her sweatpants still dangling from one foot. The camera follows her, moving sideways past the narrow door until it reaches the bedroom window, where the light goes on and the woman comes into view. She kicks her pants off. They fly through the air, hit the wall behind an armchair with a red cushion, and fall to the floor. Chapter 2. The camera zooms in slowly and then stops right outside the window, swaying slightly as if it were floating. She'd see him if she just looked up, Margaret whispers, feeling her heart beat faster. The light from her room casts a slight flare across the top of the lens. Adam is sitting with his hand over his mouth. The woman pulls her shirt off, tosses it onto the chair, then stands for a moment in her washed-out underwear and stained bra. She glances over at the cell phone charging on the bedside table. Her thighs are tense and plump with blood after her run, and the elastic waistband of her pants has left a red line across her stomach. There are no tattoos or visible scars on her body, just faint stretch marks from a pregnancy. Or the fact that she was overweight and has lost some weight. That could be a possibility, too. The bedroom looks like millions of others. There's nothing worth even trying to trace. The camera trembles, then pulls back. The woman takes the glass of water from her bedside table and brings it to her mouth. Then the video ends abruptly. Fuck! Fuck! Margaret repeats irritably. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Let's watch it again, Adam says. We can watch it 1,000 times, Margaret says, rolling her chair further back. Fine, what the hell, go ahead, but it's not going to give us a fucking thing. I could see a lot of things. You could see a detached house, 20th century, some fruit trees, roses, triple glazed windows, a 42-inch television, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, she says, gesturing toward the computer. It hasn't struck her before, the way we're all so similar to each other. Seen through a window, a broad spectrum of Swedes conform to the same pattern, making them interchangeable. From outside, we appear to live exactly the same way. We look the same, do the same things, own the same objects. It's not really shocking if you're, living in the 21st century. That is totally fucked up, Adam says angrily. Why is he doing this? What the hell does he want? Margaret glances out the small window, where the black treetops of Cronenberg Park are silhouetted against the hazy glow of the city. There's no doubt this is a serial killer, she says. All we can do is put together an initial profile so we can... How does that help her? It doesn't. You tried to save other lives, since you couldn't save the ones before this. That's the whole point of tracking these assholes down and kicking their asses, is you save the ones in the future. Adam runs a hand through his hair. He's standing outside her window, and you're talking about profiling. It might help the next one. What the fuck, Adam says. We have to... These guys are cops. I understand, emotion and wanting to help somebody, but, at the same time, you have to be reasonable. The lady's getting killed right now, and you don't know where she is or how to help her. It's unfortunate, but there are other people you're gonna have to rescue. Just shut up for a moment, Margaret interrupts, picking up her phone. Shut up yourself, Adam says, raising his voice. I have every right to say what I think, don't I? I think we should get the papers to publish this woman's picture on their websites. I don't know why this guy's suddenly being, an asshole. Again, I understand emotions help people get carried away, but, wow, this guy's a dick. He's not even thinking rationally. Adam, listen. Much as we'd like to be able to identify her, we have nothing to go on, Margaret says. I'll talk to forensics, but I doubt they're going to find anything more than they did last time. But if we circulate her picture too... I don't have time for this now. She snaps. Think for a minute. Everything suggests he uploaded a clip directly from her house, so there's a theoretical chance of saving her. That's exactly what I'm saying, but 5 minutes have already passed. Adam leans forward and stares at her. His eyes are bloodshot, and his hair is on end. Are we just going to give up, then? Well, that's the whole point of forensics, is it not? Is trying to find out where she is so you can get there before she actually gets killed, but chances are very slim that you're going to be able to do that. I feel like we're making this character super dumb because we have to explain to the audience why this is not a practical solution. We have to think before we act. We can't make any wrong moves. I know, he says annoyed. Then why are you being a dick? You're being a dick because the author says so. The perpetrator is competent. He knows he's way ahead of us, Margaret explains as she picks up the last slice of pizza. But the better we get to know him, fine. But that's not really what I'm thinking about right now. Obviously. Adam wipes sweat from his top lip. We couldn't trace the previous video. We didn't find anything at the scene. And we won't be able to trace this one either. We're unlikely to get any forensic evidence, but we can try to pin him down by analyzing the video and the brutality of his M.O. In case you don't know what M.O. is, it's modus operandi. It basically means the reason why somebody goes and does a thing and how they go about doing that thing. Serial killers tend to have a specific way that they like to do things. For example, a serial killer could have a preference for women with long brown hair. And the method they would use to get that person is through manipulation, like Ted Bundy, who would pose as somebody one would typically see as no threat, like having a cast on his arm, or somebody on crutches, or even someone in a wheelchair, and get them to get near his car or even in the car before he would shove them in there, jump in his car, and drive off. And then he would proceed to kill them, possibly raping them before their death multiple times, and then maybe even raping them after their death multiple times. Read up on Ted Bundy, that's kind of interesting. Margaret replies, feeling the baby move inside her. What have we seen so far? What has he shown us? And what's he seeing? A woman who went for a run and is now eating ice cream and watching television, he says tentatively. What does that tell us about the murderer? That he likes women who eat ice cream? He sighs and hides his face in his hand. Come on now. Sorry, but I'm thinking about the fact that the murderer uploads a video showing the period leading up to the murder, she says. He takes his time, enjoys himself, and wants to show us the woman alive, wants to preserve her on video. Maybe it's the living he's interested in. A voyeur. He feels his arms prick with discomfort. A stalker, she whispers. Adam turns to the computer and logs into the police database. Tell me how I'm supposed to filter this list of scumbag ex-cons, he says. A rapist, violently rape, someone with obsessive fixations. He types quickly, clicks the mouse, and types some more. Too many results, he says. Time's running out. Okay, hold on. There was nothing said until this point that the stalker was possibly a rapist. I mean, I could suppose rape happened with the first victim, but again, she didn't say until this point anything about rape. So was the first victim raped or not? I don't fucking know. Was the second victim supposedly raped? I guess we'll find out. Also, why would you try the first victim's name in the police database? Wouldn't you have already done that to see if they had a criminal record? I'm confused. No results. He runs a hand through his hair. A serial rapist who's been treated, possibly chemically castrated. Margaret says, thinking out loud. Chemically castrated? I'll have to look into that one. That's new to me. So we're now identifying him as a serial rapist, not just serial killer. Again, there was no indication up until this point that the first victim was raped. Like, her bra was shredded, her boobs were hanging out, and he fucked up her face. But there was nothing at all until this point did they say that the first victim was raped. Margaret says, thinking out loud. We need to check the databases against each other, but that'll take too long, he says, getting up from his chair and pacing. This isn't working. What the hell are we going to do? She's dead, Margaret says, leaning back. She might have a few minutes left, but... We can see her, Adam says. We can see her face, her home. Christ, we can see right into her life, but we can't find out who she is until someone finds her body. Chapter 3. Susanna Kern feels her thighs tingling from her run as she pulls her sweaty pants down and kicks them towards the chair. Since she turned 30, she's run 5 kilometers 3 evenings each week. After her Friday run, she usually eats ice cream and watches television, since Bjorn doesn't get home until 10 o'clock. When Bjorn landed the job in London, she thought she'd be lonely, but she fairly quickly came to appreciate the hours she had to herself in the weeks Morgan was with his dad. She needs this downtime more than ever since she started taking a demanding course in advanced neurology at Karolinska Institute. She undoes her sweaty sports bra. She can't remember a summer this hot before. A scratching sound makes her turn towards the window. The backyard is so dark, all she can see is the reflection of the bedroom. It looks like a theater set or a television studio. She has just made her entrance and is standing under the floodlights. Only I forget to put any clothes on, she thinks wildly. She stands for a moment looking at her naked body. The lighting is dramatic and makes her reflection seem thinner than she actually is. She hears the scraping noise again, as if someone is running their nails across the windowsill. It's too dark to see if anyone's out there. Susanna stares at the window and walks cautiously toward it, trying to see their reflection. She grabs the dark blue bedspread and holds it up to cover herself. She shivers. Reluctantly, she leans her face closer to the glass. The backyard becomes visible, like a dark gray world. She sees the grass, the tall shrubs, Morgan's swing moving in the wind, and the panes of glass behind the playhouse from the sunroom they never got around to building. Her breath mists the window as she straightens and closes the dark pink curtains. She lets the thick bedspread fall to the floor and walks naked towards the door. A shiver runs down her spine, and she turns back toward the window. A strip of glass is shimmering in the gap between the curtains. She picks up her phone from the bedside table and calls Bjorn. And as the call is put through, she can't help staring at the window. "Hello, darling," he answers far too loudly. "Are you at the airport?" "What are you at?" "I'm at the airport. I'm just having a burger at O'Leary's and—" His voice vanishes as a group of men in the background shout and cheer. "Liverpool just scored again," he explains. "Hooray," she says without enthusiasm. "Your mom called me to ask what you want for your birthday." "That's sweet," she says. "I said you'd like some see-through underwear." He jokes. "Thanks." She stares at the shimmering glass between the curtains as the phone line crackles. "Is everything okay at home?" Bjorn's voice says into her ear. "I was just feeling a little scared of the dark. It's been there?" "In front of the television," she replies. "And Jerry? They're both waiting for me." She smiles. "I miss you," he says. "Make sure you don't miss the plane," she whispers. They talk some more, then say goodbye and blow kisses to each other over the phone. The line goes dead, and she finds herself thinking about a patient who was brought in last night. A young man who had crashed his motorcycle when he wasn't wearing a helmet, resulting in severe head injuries. His father had come straight to the hospital from his night shift. He was still wearing his dirty overalls, and a breathing mask dangled around his neck. Holding her pink kimono in front of her, when did she grab that? She walks back to the living room and closes the heavy curtains. Silence settles over the room. The curtains sway in front of the window, and she shudders as she turns away from them. She tries the ice cream. It's much softer now, just right. The rich taste of chocolate fills her mouth. Susanna sets the curtain down and walks to the bathroom. She locks the door and turns the shower on, then loosening her ponytail, and sets the scrunchie on the end of the sink. She lets out a sigh as the hot water washes over and envelops her body. Her ears are roaring as her shoulders relax and her muscles soften. She washes herself and runs her hand between her legs, noticing that the hair has already started to grow back since the last time she waxed. Again, because we need to know these things. Susanna wipes the steam from the glass door so she can see the handle and lock of the bathroom door. Her mind keeps coming back to what she thought she saw in the bedroom window just as she was pulling the bedspread around herself. "You didn't see anything. You said you saw the grass outside and some window panes." She dismissed it as a trick of her imagination. She couldn't even see through the glass. The room was too bright, the outside was too dark. But the reflection of the dark bedspread, she thought she saw a face staring back at her. "Then why didn't you say this when you thought you saw something? Don't introduce something only to, well, I thought I saw it." I'm like, either the character that we're perceiving things through thought they saw something or they didn't. Don't retcon that they saw nothing with that. Oh yeah, by the way, they thought they saw something. That is some bullshit. The next moment, it was gone, and she realized she must have been mistaken. But now she can't help thinking that it might have been real. It wasn't a child, but maybe it was a neighbor out searching for their cat, who then stopped to look at her. Well, when you're standing next to a window fully naked, I would stop and be like, what the fuck, too? Susanna turns the water off. Her heart is pounding, as she realizes the kitchen door is open. How could she have forgotten that? She'd had it open all summer to let in the cool evening air, but usually shuts and locks it before taking a shower. So wait, you've had your kitchen door open. Was it wide open while you were fucking naked walking through your house? Was it wide open while you were naked in your house? Also, again, bullshit on introducing this thing that should have been covered to start with. Covering it now. Also, wouldn't you have thought to check to lock that crap before you got naked in the first place? Apparently not, since you got naked right in front of your fully open window. But usually shuts and locks it before taking a shower. She wipes steam from the glass again and checks the lock on the bathroom door. Nothing has changed. She reaches for the towel and thinks she'll call Bjorn and ask him to stay on the phone as she goes through the house. Well, it's not a great start. My first complaint is it feels like I'm reading a script instead of reading a book about something happening. The second thing that's really pissing me off is that we introduce something and then we just kind of don't talk about stuff. And then once we decide it should be relevant, we bring it up. Like the whole, oh, this lady was killed. So the guy is like, I have this feeling he's going to turn out to be a serial killer. And then, boom, we have the second video happen with the next victim. And, boy, I have this feeling that she's going to die from this serial rapist killer. What? What do you mean rapist? You didn't say anything about rape before. You know, and then the same thing with this bullshit about seeing a face in the window, which she didn't see, otherwise she would have commented on it right then and there, not think about it a couple minutes later when she's in the bathroom. Also, this random shit about, oh yeah, my kitchen door is open. Why? Why did you leave that open? Especially if you're going to wander through your house half naked. And fully naked. Also, if you were going to get fully naked, why wouldn't you go ahead and close the curtains to your window? It makes no goddamn sense to do something and then retcon it later. I think that's the thing I'm pissed off more about, is like, we've had so many retcons, it's only 3 chapters so far. I'll keep reading it because outside of the retcons, I see no reason to stop reading it. It's definitely not, I think, going to be in one of my top 10s. It's probably going to be a meh. Depends on, like, what happens once we get to Stalker Dude. I'm not really sure how we're going to get our main character back, since apparently he's dead, or she's dead, or something. Apparently they're not our main character for their own book series. I don't know. I don't care. It's a thing. So yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about this for now. It's okay, it just feels like I'm reading a script and then the retcons. And we're only in starting chapter 4 here in a bit, and we're already like 3 retcons or more. Alright guys, I'm Caleb, and this has been Red Knot. Thank you for listening. Bye!